I want to get into your film career, because going from owning a ranch and being a cowboy and being in love with horses is kind of a far cry from the stage as well. At least in my eyes. But if someone stops you on the street and they say, "Hey, you so and so from such and such," what is it they're referring to?
Well, I can tell what they're gonna know me from by how old they are.
Okay.
You know? You know? like you might be know me from Queen Sugar or this culture, Fargo. Or,
I know.
But a lot of people know me, like, if you know, to stop me and say, "Oh, Cooley High," well, it's not Cooley High. Usually a little older, a little older group will know me from Cooley High, and depending on what part of the story they're telling me, I'll know where they came from. Or Cooley High, or if they stop me, and they talk about a different world, I'll know that they're either they're in college now and they're watching it, or, if they're in their 40s, they were watching it back then when it first aired, So I can kind of tell who my followers are by what shows they watched,
Yeah, so being in Chicago, Cooley High is a thing here, even growing up, it was way before my time, but my mother was in love with it, all her sisters loved it,
Right.
And I mean, you have this track record kind of performing in particularly Black films, right? Like Cooley High, like A Different World, like Raisin in the Sun before then, Rainey, like you have all these are all particularly Black stories that you're portraying, and like I'm curious, has it been like something that you've been intentional about, like trying to keep yourself grounded in Black cinema?
No, because I've got Gremlins and I've got Bumblebee under my belt as well, and a myriad of TV series, every TV series you could probably imagine. Yeah. Over the last 50 years, I've been in one or the other, that weren't particularly Black. It's just that the Black stories that I've been in, just like Women of the Movement right now, there've been a lot of stories that have been very poignant, and I've been blessed and honored to, when they need that kind of story told, if there's a character that has a strong point of view, I've been lucky enough to have been called to ask to do this, to do those parts. And so it was kind of like, my career started like that, though, with A Raisin in the Sun, which was a very poignant film. Back in the time, Lorraine Hansberry, the great Lorraine Hansberry, she was writing in that one place. She was covering so many topical subjects in Raisin in the Sun, from redlining to abortion, to all the different, African, the diaspora, the African diaspora, Black diaspora. So she was covering so many, and the play itself was the first Black director, first Black female playwright, first Black star. So I came out the box swinging, at the social realm, and so I kind of fell into that genre, and that was kind of my, from the writers that I grew to know over the years, back especially in the 60s, with Baraka and Ron Milner and all of the different playwrights I came to know and work with. We were all making statements at that time. So that was our political stance. That was my contribution to the revolution through my art, you see. So that was a conscious decision to do that, to be a part of saying something meaningful. That was indeed conscious, And
how does it feel to like kind of have that impact, carry that impact, have characters like, Colonel Bradford be a part of these institutions that inspire Black people in the kind of in the posterity of it? How's it feel?
Well, it feels good. It's kind of like mission accomplished, but I still got a ways to go,
Yeah. I know different world, like for example, like y'all toy with the idea of a reboot, And I know you said that if you ever did it, it'd have to have that similar impact.
Right.
But with Cooley High though, you like it's off limits. No, don't touch that. So like,
leave it alone.
What is it that about Cooley High that's like makes you so protective of it that it's untouchable?
Well, here's one major thing. Just check this out. Of course, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs was one of the stars of the movie, right? With Cochise. Myself, Glynn Turman with Preach, stars of the movie. Jackie Taylor, who has the Chicago's got the great her theater company, right? Back on some Sony star. But there was another star of the movie that nobody talks about. The music. Motown was a star of the movie. Now you tell me, in this day and age, what music are you going to put together that has the power that Motown had? You can't afford to get Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson, Diana Ross and the Supreme, the Four Tops, Marvin Gaye, who else, man? Mary Well. You put that together. Huh? And that was a star of the movie. You need that star. You need that component.
Yeah. Do you have any stories to tell us? Any fun things y'all did exploring Chicago with the cast?
Oh, we just had a lot of fun, all kinds of just good times. It was just a good time filming it, it was a good time hanging out, Rick and everybody's, and Jackie, and made good friends that, I was in Chicago filming, we were filming Fargo with Chris Rock, not last year. 2020. And what I love about when I go to Chicago is somebody inevitably come up to me in the street and say, "Preach, hey man, I was in the scene at Martha's, man. I did that scene when we was in Martha's and got chased out of Martha's, and so it's like, and I got to stop and I got to talk to him because, it's like family, So it's a fondness that'll always be with me. Matthew. Yeah.
It's funny because my mother actually grew up next door to Pooter. Like
no, really?
Yeah, like out there in the hundreds or something like that. Yeah.
So that's you can't replace that. That's always gonna be. But
yeah, I mean, like, so Cooley High, you have Travis Younger and the Raisin in the Sun. You have, now you're Emmit Till's great uncle, Moses Wright, the movement. You've kind of had this major role in film and television. Like, how would you feel like your story, your career has helped shape the narrative of Black Chicago?
Well, I don't know. I think that what I might represent at this stage is the fact that it's not over till it's over. I'm still here. I'm still doing what I love. I'm still telling stories that are even more inclusive than they were in the day when we were trying to tell our own stories, when we were trying to tell stories, because a lot of those stories were written by whites, or others. But now your generation, which is has a wonderful thing going for it, in that you're telling your own stories, and your writers and your producers and your showrunners are of color, and women, and all of the things that we didn't actually have. These are the things that we had to fight for. These were major things. You guys might take it for granted now, but you get a Black makeup person in the makeup room was unheard of, and so things that you don't even think about now, as a problem. So there were a lot of things that we had to fight for in the behind the scenes, And I was a part of that, you know, so that's part of my story, you know, what that was about, and leaving an imprint, you know, what it meant for me to be a part of those stories, you know, what do I bring as an actor to these stories now, you know, because I've lived a little while on this planet now, you know, and I'm from an acting school that had a different technique of acting. In other words, we made it personal, you know, so when I'm approaching parts, it's very personal, you know. And, that's not a technique that's really taught now, you know, or a lot of people are not ready to dive into those kinds of places, you know. Hmm? Yeah, you know, and so I call it the scab effect. A lot of people are not willing to pick at the scabs of their soul, of their journey. And my generation, or where I come from, and my technique is, you know, here I go. It ain't gonna heal because I got to pick at it again, you know.
I know that one of the things you did in Cooley High was its setting in the near north side it's changed a lot, you know, since it was.
Yeah, buddy, has it.
Yeah, you know, you said you were back here for Fargo, and what was it like to kind of be back in that area and kind of see how different?
Well, how different it is, you know. But it's like that everywhere, isn't it? That gentrification is really spread across the country, you know. Like Harlem is different, you know. South Central is different now, you know. And I guess that's what you call progress. I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, it don't feel like progress, you know. Supposed to be in this place, it doesn't look like the places that like people called home for years. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying, man. Yeah. But that's the way it goes. You roll with it, you keep on stepping, you know. Take the good with the bad, and get out of it what you can.
It's kind of been a long journey for you, right? Like since your first Broadway break in the '70s, it is recent. It's kind of the Glennaissance, as y'all coined it. Yeah. How does it feel like managing those peaks and valleys that you've inevitably experienced over your career? Like how have you managed it?
Well, not without strife, but with that strife went commitment. You know, it's easy to commit to something if the road is smooth all the time. You know, the test comes, do you still commit when the road is not so smooth? You know, and what do you do with that bumpy road? Where does that fit in your scheme of things? You know, how do you manage it? And I, you know, chose when I made the commitment, you know, I chose to stick to it, you know, and find a place for the strife, deal with the strife. My mother had a saying, and she used to say, bite off more than you can chew and chew it. You know, so that's kind of been one of my mottos, you know. I've many times, I've choked some too, you know. So, but you bite off more than you can chew, and you chew it, damn it, you know. And that's life, you know. And that's one of the things that have kept me going, you know.
I mean, yeah, you had this kind of like decorated career, and you journey into more than just acting. It's going into production and other assets of filmmaking. Like, what has it been like learning in those different forms of filmmaking?
Well, I'm still learning. You know, that's one of the things I like about this craft that I've chosen as a lifestyle, is that I can always get better. I can always learn. I'm learning from the new, you know, the new young actors actresses coming on, you know, and the producers and the young directors coming on. I'm learning from them, you know, so I love that. It's the same thing with horses, you know. I love working with horses because I can always learn something. I've been riding and been in rodeo for over 40 years, but I'm still learning, you know, how to become a better rider, you know, and I'm still learning how to become a better actor, you know. So it's got its challenges, and it's about knowing what's good about getting older is you learn when to shut up and listen, you know. That's a sign of maturity that only comes with age, you know, that can't be taught. And I'm glad that I'm at the age where I just know when to shut the hell up and listen, you know, because the older you get, the more you realize how little you know.
I know that somebody who might have been with you when you were before that age, when you weren't at the point where you knew to shut up and listen. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him, but Sidney Poitier, the great Sidney Poitier, who he was integral in shaping Black cinema in a similar way to you, laid kind of the groundwork for folks like yourself. You knew him for most of your life. So yeah. Can you share with us maybe a moment that you recall sharing with him?
Oh, there are several moments, you know, and incidents over the years, you know. He was very instrumental in my point of views as a young man, both as a human being, as well as an artist. You know, his graciousness with his public was one of the main things that I took away. You know, I remember him being so gracious, and remember him signing autographs for everybody and being kind to everybody. You know, so there's a kindness of attitude and attention that he was able to. I was able to, you know, as a kid, just watch and say, why is he doing that? You know, why is he signing those autographs? It's cold as hell out here. Why is he standing there signing all these people's autographs? You know, but that was something that I realized later was a part of being gracious to the people who, you know, who looked up to you as not only a source of entertainment, but a source of pride, you know, and he represented that. So that's one of a major takeaway that I think. But other stories, you know, I remember once my good friend Art Evans. Art Evans is a wonderful actor that you know from Soldier's Story, or you know from Die Hard, and there was a park nearby here in Los Angeles called Poinsettia Park. And Poinsettia Park, all of the actors that you ever want to meet would be there, especially in the 70s. You know, you'd see Shaft at Poinsettia Park playing basketball. You'd see the Mac, you know, playing basketball. You'd see Jim Brown. You'd see, you know, and you'd see me, and you'd see Sidney playing tennis. Art and I decided we were going to challenge Sidney to a tennis match. You know, now you have to understand Sidney's dignified. He's always been very dignified and classy, a class act. He said, no, I will not play you. And I will not play you, Art Evans. I will play both of you at the same time, and I will whip your asses. And he went on to talk so much smack while whipping our asses. He beat us and he just talked so much crap. You wouldn't think he would talk so much crap. You know what I mean? He was talking like, you know, the smack that we talk on, you know, on the courts, right? And that was Sydney. That was the city that most people didn't get a chance to see. It was fun.
That's funny. I didn't think I was gonna get a Sydney impression out of you. That was beautiful. Yeah. I think one of the things that's really important to the city about your career is just how, and this will be the question I'll leave you on.
Okay.
Is just that you've been in all these different roles. You've been in you've listed Cooley High, Raisin In The Sun, Women of the Movement.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, like, what are some of the lasting relationships that you've built with people here, the people here in Chicago?
From the past or from the present?
I mean, throughout your career, like, what's kind of been the lasting impression you have with the folks in the city?
Well, you have to understand, I've got family in Chicago. My brother is in Chicago. My daddy was in Chicago, lived in Chicago. And I just lost my brother just a few months ago. But so I've always, had family in Chicago. And then getting to know my father over the years, I didn't know him as a young man, but from right around the time of Cooley High on, we became close. And so it was fun coming to Chicago and hanging out with him. Buddy Guys, Buddy Guys is a spot I go to. I played harp at Buddy Guys. I played little blues harps, and Buddy called me up. I went up with him and played. But we got to know each other in Chicago, and so I'm always fond of it for that reason. I took me to some of his spots that my daddy used to hang out in, but a little different,
Real OG spots.
Right, real OG spots. So I would go over there and hang out. And his friends would embrace me and welcome me in, and so that was always a good thing. So I always had a fondness for Chicago for that reason.